We're going to go ahead and spend majority of today just really setting up the expectations and the foundations for our work together over this spring semester. As you folks have been welcomed in, Shannon and Jackie, our two of our facilitators, have been putting in the attendance link in the chat. And we're going to do a little bit of information regarding what the attendance expectations are for our course, and we'll set them up in a little bit. But just to give you a heads up, we will be taking attendance after today's session. So this was really just to give you folks an opportunity to do some bell work, get signed in, and get used to some of the ways we do things. But after this class, we will actually be taking attendance on our own. And again, we'll set that expectations for you in a little bit. Starting off, we're just going to take a moment to do some class introductions. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is John Mulroy. I'm the Equity and Inclusive Practices Resource Teacher for Kaimuki, McKinley, and Roosevelt Complex. I'm housed out at Wilson Elementary School. And basically, most of my job falls under working with collaborative teaching partners, working with least restrictive environment, and our Hawaii multi-tiered systems of support. And some special education mentoring. I started my education career on the Leeward Coast at Lehoku Elementary School. And I know I have a fellow Lehoku peep on this call, I think, today. So I'm excited. Yeah, so I'm excited to see who that is. That's very exciting. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But with that, I'm actually going to, at this point, just send it over to Shannon, and I have Shannon do a quick introduction for herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Eustace, and I'm been with the DOE about 20 years, and I'm over on the island of Maui. I started my Hawaii career at Lahaina Luna and spent 15 years there teaching high school math. And most recently, and then doing some curriculum. I was a curriculum coordinator there for a few years as well. And then I moved over to intermediate and am now teaching 6th grade science at Iao School over in Wailuku, and loving every moment of it, just loving having the kiddos back with us. And then I also, in addition to the I Can Do It classroom management, which I many moons ago in my first years of teaching here on Maui, and I believe Jackie might have been with me at the time. But I'm also working with the teachers licensing with the Code of Ethics, the Model Code of Ethics for Educators. So that's a really awesome opportunity that I'm participating in as well. So glad everyone is here. Thank you for joining us. And I know it's a Wednesday night, but we're so happy you could take the time out of your schedule. So thank you. Jackie?
Sure, yes. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. As Shannon said, it is a Wednesday night, halfway through the week, and it's been a long week with report cards and everything else that's upon us. So my name is Jackie, and I'm a first grade teacher at Waiahole Elementary here on Oahu. I keep saying kindergarten because I had done some looping with my students from kindergarten to first grade. And to this day, I keep calling them kindergarten, and they keep reminding me we're not kindergarten, we're first grade. I've been teaching well over 20 plus years. I won't go into further details, but yes, I've been with the DOE for quite some time. Most of my experience has been with K through 5, with the majority of the time in kindergarten and first grade. So welcome. We're very excited to have you join us. And with that, I'm going to turn it. Well, there's actually one more trainer. She's not with us tonight, but her name is Christy, and she's a middle school teacher at Mililani. So, John, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, Jackie. All right, folks. So at this time, we'd really like to just open up to a quick waterfall chat. If you would please just go into the chat, type your name, grade or content, and kind of what island or what school you're at, and we'll just do a quick kind of a waterfall chat and just go in there. Just people can see who's in the room and make connections with one another. So let's take about a minute to just give us some information in the waterfall chat about who you are, where you're from, what content or what grade. And please feel free to go ahead and do that now. 5th grade, Fern. Yeah, there's a few Fern people. Okay, Jessica. Okay, Jessica's my Lehoku peep. Perfect. Maui High. All right, Fern. Another Fern. Hi, Akea. Oh, another resource teacher. Nice. Oh, God, we're going to have a wealth of information in this room. That's amazing. Gordy, you looked familiar. Okay, I thought you kind of looked familiar at McKinley High School. Very nice.
What is 31 to 34, Gordon?
So if you can read, yeah, it's special education. These students are in the Work with Readiness program at McKinley High School. So they are age 18, they age out at age 22.
Yes.
So that's why it's grade 31 through 34.
Wow, first time I've heard that.
All right, educators, thank you for taking that opportunity to dive in and share a little bit about yourselves. And you'll see as this course goes, and we're going to talk about this a lot, we really rely on a lot of you folks to do the kind of cognitive lifting and the sharing with each other. We know the experience really relies and is heavily in this room. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you folks to kind of be in breakout rooms together. Sometimes you'll be in like groups. Other times we'll do unlike groups, but really giving you folks the opportunity to work with and learn from one another. All of our sessions, we really start off with this type of the norms. So kind of the expectations of how we act and interact with each other and with the content. So the first one is just kind of equity of voice. So really just understanding that everybody has something to offer into the room and making sure that we provide that opportunity. So just being willing to step up when you want to share, and then also being willing to step back if someone else hasn't had the opportunity to share, and we want to give them that option. Active listening, really, with everything going on today, when we meet on Wednesdays and Saturdays, just trying to be as present as possible and making connections to what's shared in the class and adding on ideas or asking clarifying questions. Perspective taking, similar to active listening, just we all come with a wide variety of experiences and information. So we might look at the same thing, but have a different set of eyes. So just be willing to take in that perspective and finding common ground in moving forward. Safety and confidentiality, really just important. And, if by accident a name is shared or, something specific is shared about a student or a school, we just ask that you really respect that confidentiality and that it doesn't leave this room. And just kind of still encourage each other to share and provide feedback, but just know that this is a safe place. And sometimes things are going to be shared, and we just ask that it doesn't leave kind of this safe place that we've created. And last but not least, just respectful use of electronics. So we know you have your phones. We know you might be having emails, but as much as you can, really be engaged with your fellow educators and the content that we're presenting. We will start most sessions with an inclusionary activity. This is something that I just find really important with my practice. And it's something that, many of you probably have been accustomed to as we continue to get some SEL data from Panorama, and how do we kind of set the stage for learning and see where we're all functioning at. And, depending on where we're functioning is going to be dependent on how we interact with the text and the learning. So I'm going to go ahead and put a quick Jamboard in the chat box, and I just need you folks to identify with yourselves if you are high energy unpleasant currently, high energy pleasant, low energy unpleasant, or low energy pleasant. So I'm going to go ahead and put that jam in the chat for you, and please feel free to go add in some of your information now. Let's take about 30 to 45 seconds for that. I see most people are able to go in. Perfect. And then you can just move your sticky note to correlate which kind of wherever you're functioning right now. All right, friends. All right. Thank you. So we have a big group kind of in that kind of pleasant phase. That's good. That's good. Okay. Maybe some people in the middle on the line somewhere, and that's totally fine. But thank you for kind of setting that for us today. All right. So this inclusion activity is actually something I usually do with some of the faculties that I work with, and it's usually kind of like a stand-up in meeting, but we're going to make a little, of course, alteration for that for being an online. So this is just something as we think about kind of where each of us are functioning, knowing that, again, we're all coming with different experiences, both coming from home as well as coming from the classroom setting. And depending on where we are is going to depend on how willing and how much engagement we can give to kind of the learning session. So at this point now, I'd invite you to kind of just pick up your phone. I'm sure it's right next to you. Pick up your phone, scroll through your photos, and find a photo that actually kind of sparks a little bit of joy for you. So pick up your phone, open up your photos, and find a photo that just sparks a smile or sparks some joy for you. And it could be whatever you see fit that kind of just brings a smile. Nice. All right. 15 more seconds for that. All right, great. So again, in person, I would actually have you folks stand up, take your picture, and go share it with a fellow colleague. This is my picture that I share. These are my two best friends I've had since about my first day of college. And this is just a picture that brings an amazing memory to me. And when I'm just not feeling great, this is a picture that brings me back to a happy time and brings a smile to my face. Now, the picture you chose might not actually change your overall feeling, but there is a lot of brain research that says kind of that concept of smiling releases those endorphins and things and can actually change a little bit of the chemistry in our brain to help us engage more because it brings us to a happier place. So again, if you're angry, it might not completely change your mood, but it does have a little bit of brain development and brain science that a smile can change how you kind of choose to interact. So just know that we will be doing a lot of inclusionary activities as we kind of learn more and get to know each other over the sessions together. All right, folks. So as I mentioned previously, kind of foreshadowing, a lot of today's session is really about setting you folks up for success by giving you the expectations and the foundations for our I Can Do It class this spring. And I know most teachers are really just anxious on knowing requirements because most of us were probably very good students and we like to do things well and we like to get them done right and we like to know the expectation. Very similar to our students, right? Like that success criteria. So the next few slides are really going to be focused in on that. At any point, if you feel that you need something clarified or we need to extend on it, please feel free to either type in the chat and I'll ask Jackie and/or Shannon to monitor that for me. Or if you're comfortable, please feel free to unmute yourself, say your name, and ask that clarifying question. Okay. So the requirements. What is required for this course? First and foremost, we ask that you attend at least 5 online synchronous learning sessions. So as you saw in the sign up, there's a number of Wednesday and Saturday sessions that we offer you. Today is a requirement, meaning you have to be here today. Then we ask you to sign up for 5 more sessions on either a Wednesday and Saturday. Whatever meets your schedule is kind of what we would say you should align to, but that's really the expectation. We ask that if you are unable to attend a session, that you do watch the videos that will be attached in the Google Classroom, because a lot of the explanations of the PDE3 requirements will be shared during that session. So be here with us for at least 5, and then just make sure you take the opportunity to watch the videos that will be posted after each session. And similar to that, we will post today's session as well. A meaningful portfolio, again, completion is required and with captions. And we know how people feel about captions. If you've taken a PDE3 course before, you probably have a certain feeling about them. Fortunately, unfortunately, they are expectation and they are a must do as part of a PDE3 requirement. And we will support you and give you examples of what those portfolio captions should look like for your entries. Again, going back to the norms that we set earlier, we do really want some real-time participation. We will try to limit our kind of sharing as a facilitator and make sure you folks have ample time to learn and work with one another. And last but not least, you will have to complete an online evaluation with PDE3, which not only gives PDE3 information about the course that we're providing, but it also gives us information as things that we should tweak or leave the same depending on your input. Again, highly encouraged, really review those recorded sessions and watch them. Complete and turn in assignments by their due date. And again, really that active online participation. So with that, I'm going to pause and see if anyone has a question or needs to clarify anything in regards to this first slide about course success. And again, please feel free to use the chat or unmute yourself and you can ask a clarifying question. Great question. It just says C Shimamura. So Christine, perfect. That's a great question. I'm sure a bunch of other people are actually asking. Okay. So I'll do Christine first, then I'll go to Miley. So we try to keep each session around a 2-hour mark. That's really what we strive for. There's going to be days that go a little bit longer and there's going to be sessions that go a little bit shorter. 2 hours is usually what we try to focus in on. Like I said, and it'll go back and forth. This is a smaller class than we've had in a while. So last quarter, we had almost 30 some participants. So they tended to go a little bit longer just because the nature of having people share and go in and out of breakouts. This group is a little bit smaller. It's about almost half of that. So we might actually go a little bit less just because there's not as much movement and sharing with the number of participants for each class. But 2 hours is about where we try to hit it. Because we know, one, people are exhausted on Wednesdays and Saturdays, like you also have a personal life and other things to do. So that's our main goal. Miley, you will find the recorded session in the Google Classroom. So we will record each session. After that's done, Shannon actually goes in and posts it, and you'll get an alert that says the recording has been posted. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for asking those questions. All right. So folks, these Googles all, similarly to the recording, the Google Slides will also be given to you in the Google Classroom. So you will have access to everything we share. And then just additional resources. So we have, again, the examples of the session norms that'll be in this slide deck for you. We give you examples of meaningful reflections that you can always go back and revisit as you're typing up your portfolio. We give you examples of captions. So if that's something you need to revisit, that's all in this slide. There's also going to be the link for the Google Classroom, as well as the reoccurring meeting link. That's going to be the same each session. And we will always post that on the stream as well. So either Wednesday afternoon or Saturday early morning, that'll be posted. So you'll always have access. You could always go back to the stream. And that's kind of where you'll get emails and say, oh, like John posted in the stream, and you can go revisit that. And that's kind of how we'll do big group contact as far as, hey, don't forget classes tonight, or, have a great Thursday, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about this additional resources page? Grading. All right. So teachers, again, how do we meet the expectations? What do we need to do for grading? So the easiest way for us to explain grading, right? So when you when we have a module that's attached to the portfolio. So most, but not all of our sessions will have a direct module attached to it, meaning that it's actually a write-up for your PDE3 portfolio. So we'll finish a session and let's say it's module 2, then you'll do a write-up that's directly connected to a PDE3 portfolio entry. If you submit a portfolio entry and you receive a 100 out of 100, that means you are done with that portfolio entry. You do not need to do anything else. No edits are required. It's ready to go. If you receive a 50, and that's just the number that we use because it makes it easy for everybody. If you receive a 50, it just means that you need to go back and revisit that module. And most of the time, if not 100% of the time, your facilitators, meaning myself, Christy, Shannon, and Jack, are going to give you specific feedback to say, hey, you know what, you didn't really answer this question. I need you to go back and add some details or give further explanation. So you will really know exactly what the expectation is if you receive the 50. So we just say, go back, look at the feedback you're given, make the revisions, and then hit resubmit. And then we'll go back and grade it. And some of you will get 100 at that point. And some of you, we might say, hey, you know what? It's still a 50. I still need you to clarify this. And the only thing we ask is that you kind of leave the comments so we know which one you directly answered. So just leave the comments there and you'll get that reminder throughout the session. So don't stress too much about that now. But that's kind of the basic way of understanding the grading. 100, you're good to go. 50, let's resubmit and talk through some things. Jack, if it's okay, I'm going to pause there. Do you want to talk a little bit about the philosophy of education because it's a little bit different and I want to make sure it speaks directly to how that piece is graded?
Sure, I'd be glad to do that. So the first module is called Philosophy of Education. And that one, as we go through it, you're going to notice there's 4 due dates or 4 parts to that entry. And the way that would make most sense to us, and probably yourself as well, is that each part will get 25 points. So if you should go into your classroom and notice that, I already did part 2 and 3, but I still only have 25 points, then you might want to look into it and see there must be one of those parts that needs revisions. What we'll do is we'll also put in the comments what that revision is or what you need to maybe relook at. So that'll kind of guide you along too. But part 1 is or philosophy of education is a little bit different. So you won't see 100 offhand. 100 will come at the end of actually our course because part 4 will be due at the end of the course. So that's why it's a little bit different from the basic 100 point or 50 points that John mentioned earlier. We'll go over that a little bit more too as we get into the entries. So thanks, John.
No, thank you, Jack. So again, I'm going to pause here. Questions, clarify any clarification points that need to be made in this initial piece for grading. Okay, so a little bit of information about the Google Classroom. So we will be using Google Classroom. You'll complete your entries in each of the model in your Google Classroom. Again, you'll turn in when your entry is ready to be checked. We do give you deadlines. Please know that those deadlines are soft dates. We understand that you have other things going on. This course is not your one and only in this semester. So basically we'll say, hey, after I have a session, I'll say the due date for this entry is in 10 days. That's a soft date. We say try to stick to it as much as possible so that you don't wind up at the end like scrambling trying to do like 9 different entries. But if you get a little backlogged, we're not counting that against you. That's no way the intent of this course. It's just to help people like me, like a learner like me. I need some pacing, but we know that this is a course you're taking for extra. So we will be are pretty, we're pretty understanding. And we've received that feedback before that we appreciate that. Yes, Lacey, perfect. Okay, so the next piece is many of you folks might be used to actually having to build your portfolio at the end. And we ask you to not do that. You don't have to worry about it. You just get the entries into us. You get the deadlines as close as possible. You make the revisions. We will then build the portfolios for you. So you don't have to worry about that. You just keep it in Google Classroom. It's a one-stop shop. We take care of the construction. And basically because what will happen is, if you're familiar with PDE3, right? So there's 17 of us in this course. So we go through, we make sure every portfolio is solid. Every entry is a 100 out of 100. When we go through to the final date and submit to PDE3, PDE3 will then randomly choose, I think for this course, it'll be 2 or 3 of you. It'll randomly pool those people. And at that point, we are pretty confident, like, hey, we walked them through this. We've looked at it with a fine tooth comb. We're positive these can pass. They'll review, and then everyone should get the credit at the end. So we will build that for you. So we try to take that stress out for you. Again, if you received 100 out of 100, there's no reason to resubmit. You just keep it there. If you do want to make revisions prior to grading, you just have to unsubmit it and then resubmit after you make those edits. Okay, I'll pause again here for you. And I know, again, this is a lot of information at one time. This is not believe me, you'll hear this a number of times throughout the course. So the expectation is not to get it all today. Okay. These are just some kind of, highlights or kind of best practices or shared things that we've heard from other educators as they took the course, really focusing on getting the tasks you've been assigned, and you can enjoy the benefit of being online, right? Otherwise, we would be, if not for this, in a class on a Saturday all day, and that has its bonuses, but it also has its drawbacks. So enjoy the fact that this is self-paced, and you can really focus on getting the tasks. As much as you can, find an environment, like we tell our students, right, that works for you in order to get it done. I'm better at getting to school early. As entries start to be due, you'll notice that most of my grading is done in the morning, well before school starts, because that's when I'm on and that's where my brain's functioning better. Some of you are better staying late. Some of you have a home office. So just find the place that suits your needs. Set a schedule for yourself, again, with those soft dates, like, hey, Tuesday night seems to be the time where I have an hour. So use that hour to try to do a little bit of this work to keep on pace. And then again, this class is really about learning from one another, getting great experience from a teacher who's been in the classroom a year and some teachers who've been in the classroom 10. So use that to your advantage. Use the fact that this is a different type of collaborative environment and you get to hear people outside of your grade level or content or school, and try to use that as your advantage. And if people are comfortable, we've had before, they've met up and had like a coffee and talked about the portfolio. Again, that's comfort level. I see there's a bunch of Fern educators, that you might have a great little collaborative team to work through this and bounce ideas off of. So use that to your advantage. Okay, I will pause again. Questions, comments, clarifying, concerns? Okay, folks, at this point, we've been sitting now for about a half an hour. Why don't we do about a 7-minute you do you break, grab a snack, scroll your TikTok or Insta. We will see you back at 7:38. So at 7:38, if you can come back, and we will continue with the remainder of kind of the session and setting the expectations. And if anyone wants to stay on and ask a question, we will be here for that as well. Otherwise, we'll see you back at about 7:38.
Hi, John. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Lacey, of course. Go for it.
And I apologize. I mean, I did map out this class to a lot of extent by looking at the different timelines. But my question for you is, I'm in a lot of classes, and I was wondering if, since it's self-paced, how there's a certain amount of sessions that you're required to do?
Yes.
I mean, I was considering just doing the first 5. I mean, I have ones that I really like and am interested in that are spread out, but I mean, any of the classes would be great. Are we required to do like a write-up after each session or work after each section?
Okay. Good question. So We have about, I believe there's 9 portfolio entries. So for instance, module 1 is the beginning of your philosophy of education, and that repeats throughout. So it actually shows up again at the end. Module 2 does not have a portfolio entry.
Okay.
Module 3 does have a portfolio entry. Module 4 does. Module 5A, 5B. So most of the sessions do have a entry directly connected to them, but not all.
Okay. So you might enroll in a session in sessions that all of them have portfolio entries to go with them, or you might enroll in ones that none of them do.
Right, but even if you don't attend the session, you're still responsible for the module entry.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's why we say like the video is really important to recap. So I would say, as what you said, find the ones that are most interested to you first, and then plug in yourself later.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I add to that, Lacey?
Yeah, please, Shannon. Yeah, please. If I missed something, go for it.
Lacey, is my understanding correct that you are taking multiple PD courses at the same time?
Always.
Okay, so I've done that before, and it can be really overwhelming.
I'm on top of it, but yes,
okay,
it can be.
My encouragement to you, and part of the best thing about this course is the application of it. So if you can find something that they have in common, your courses, overlap them.
Oh,
that will bring in, like, because when PDE3 is looking at the portfolios, they're not looking for a recap of, they're not looking for your review of, you know, they want the application of what you did. So if you can take something like, let's say you're doing a biology course, right? Like a next generation science professional development. If you can take a component of the classroom management course of the Bell work and embed it in your NGSS course and merge the two, you're almost really only writing one portfolio entry, if that makes sense, because you're, So that would be my encouragement to you. In addition to finding the topics you're interested in, find the overlap and let's work with you that we can help support you with that. So
yeah, thank you.
So it come April, you're not going, what's going on?
Yeah, well, I have my planner and notebooks for all my classes, and you know, I make it happen. You know, some of the articles that I write on are so specific, you know what I mean? That you just can't combine them. But you know what I do all of the time is I'm always going, you know, this reminds me of something I learned in this one class, and this reminds me, and really, to tell you the truth, when you're connecting to the curriculum like that, that the writing just flows.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate your
advice. Exactly what John said, and then let's work together so we can help you kind of cut down on your work and not make more work for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Is that
Kellogg? Yes.
All right. Yes.
Regarding the philosophy of education, I looked at the different parts, and one part is collaborating with a partner for reviewing and blah, blah, blah. If we don't attend that first session, how would we get that done?
Great question. So basically, when we look at the attendance, we will know who is there and who's not there. First and foremost, we'll tell you, watch the video, hear the directions, and then we'll say, hey, Kella, you're actually paired with Lacey. Please find an opportunity to meet. Here's the emails. And if you need help with us to be that middleman or facilitate that, we will be there. Typically, most people just go on and say, hey, I'm going to share this document with you. Here are the like the stems that we need to answer, and you work from there, because it's all going to be on Google Docs. So you'll just share it with each other. And hey, and if you're running into a problem like, hey, I asked this person to share and they haven't, you let us know, and we will follow up to say, hey, part of the expectation in this class is that you're a peer who does feedback, and we really need you to do that.
Great.
And if you can't, you come to us and we will help you do that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just about one more minute in case anyone stepped away. We want to make sure to honor their time.
Can I ask a question about the first assignment?
Sure.
The philosophy of education and how it has like 4 different parts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to turn it in every time that we complete one of those parts?
Perfect. So Jessica, what we'll in a little bit at the end of this session, Jackie's actually going to go very specifically into that piece and kind of highlight what that should look like. So if I can ask you, hold on to that question, and if we do not answer it, please bring it back up. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right. So with that, it's 7:38. Again, we want to make sure to honor time, and I'm going to send it, I believe, back over to Jackie. Is this Shannon?
It's me, John.
All right, go for it.
It's
And
me.
you just let me know when you want me. I know we had to switch parts with Chrissy not being able to join us. So I will continue to share, Jackie, and you just tell me when you want me to continue on.
Okay, perfect. So after me will be Shannon. She'll be doing the next few slides. But we just wanted to give you a little bit background about this I Can Do It course. It originally came from the California Teachers Association, and they are the real originators of this whole I Can Do It classroom management. There was a need, I guess, that they put out to the teachers and asking them what is one thing that they wish they had or how they could be best supported through their union or association. And one of the things teachers mentioned was they wish they had more opportunities to learn more about classroom management. They felt it was one area that was not really covered or taught as much as they wanted to while they were going through their college courses. So what the California Teachers Association did is they came up with a group of teachers that worked on this whole curriculum. We'll be going over the different modules in a little bit, but it really originated from them. After they got it rolling along and started, it was picked up by NEA, the National Education Association, and now you'll notice that it is part of one of their courses. After we had gone to the California Teachers Association and learned about the curriculum, we brought it back to Hawaii thinking this is great. This is what our teachers need as well. And then we partnered with the DOE, and together with HSTA, we worked on developing a curriculum that is particular to Hawaii. So it has some of the Hawaii initiatives that we talk about, some of the requirements that you'll see addressed that reflects truly Hawaii as well. So it is originally from CTA, California Teachers Association, but it has been adopted, reworked a bit so that it is more appropriate or local based to the Hawaii type of, or a Hawaii DOE setting. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Shannon. She's going to do a little KW with you. Shannon, you there?
Sorry, unmuting helps. Okay. So throughout this course, we're going to explore lots of different strategies and paths to success of classroom management within your classroom and your school environment. So one of those ways is what you know and what you want to know. So in the chat box, you will find our second Jamboard. And if you could just go ahead and click on that Jamboard. John, next slide, please. Thank you. I would like you to tell me what you want to know, or what you already know, excuse me. What do you already know about classroom management? And you can go ahead and put that right on the Jamboard. And I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. Procedures are important. Routines are important. I'm going to start. Consistency. I don't use Jamboard too much, but I think I would like an automatic unstack button on this thing. Okay, great. It takes time and heavy reflection. Need to hold students accountable for their actions. Routine, structure, and consistency is important, along with building relationships. Classroom management. Well, this person has a lot to say. Classroom management may be taught and reinforced during first few weeks of school to establish a solid foundation. Okay, that's awesome. Yes. Now on slide number 2, I would like you to create a post-it of an area that you would like to gain more knowledge on regarding classroom management. What do you want to know? So our first slide was what we know. What do we want to know now? What area are you like, you know, I just can't seem to get a grasp on this, or this always frustrates me. What are those things? Where can we support you? Take a minute, because this could be the can of worms, right?
I'm sorry, where's the Jamboard for this one, Shannon?
In the chat box. And just press the slide, just press the, if you look at the top of your Jamboard screen, you'll see 1 out of 4. I'd like you to
thank you so much. Same Jamboard link. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Transitions from blocker activities with little children. Surprise you. Oh, this class will be full of surprises. How to student-to-student relationships. Oh, yeah, especially during now, it's very difficult. Oh, the infinite bathroom pass. Pacing instructions. I'm still figuring that one out. After 20 years, I'm still trying to figure that one out. But we will work on it. How to get high school kids to stay off of their phones. Great. Improving classroom management when the teacher is true. Oh, yeah. Improving classroom management. Thank you. When the teacher and student relationship has been torn. I'm going through that one right now with one of my kiddos. And it's tough, but we can definitely create some tools and give support for that one. Early finisher activities. Did you guys read the modules yet? So excuse me one second.
No, you didn't.
Thank you. Sorry. Excuse me. At home teaching, right? Life. So, all right. So, great. John, could you go back to our behavior? Anything specific about behavior and student behavior? I see a couple of those. Like the negative behavior, the antsy behavior, the recess behavior. Okay, thanks, John. So we're gonna go through and give you guys lots of strategies and these little things called did you knows. And on this slide, there is a link. It's in your professional reading or your supplemental resources in your Google Classroom. And that is, for this one, it's called Did You Know? John, can you open that by chance? Thank you. So this Did You Know? It's going to be a note-taking tool. Everybody should have their own copy of this. I will make sure that everybody does. And these are all some of the little strategies we're going to be covering throughout the course, throughout our course today or this semester. Now, some of these strategies do need to be modified, whether you're in person or doing distance learning or online learning. But you can go ahead, and if one spoke to you, or if you want to try and do a little tweak, there's the option to take notes on the right side for you. Thanks, John. Okay, so 2 did you knows that we covered today is bell work. Would somebody like to read bell work for us? I'm going to practice John's wait time. Would anybody like to read?
I'll read.
Thanks, Lacey.
You should cold call.
Next, maybe.
But allow us to say pass. Bell work is a term for an immediate assignment upon entering a classroom. It is designated to focus students on the subject of the class and avoid distracting behaviors. Bell work should be meaningful for students and can be used to review or preview information. Bell work helps you to set the scene for learning for the day. Please expect that you will have to bell work each time you arrive to class.
Thank you, Lacey. We will have bell work every time you come to class. So our bell work for today was to go complete your attendance by listing your first name, your last name, your grade, your subject you teach. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. What that does, my favorite thing about bell work is it buys me time to take attendance and do the little things I need to do to meet my professional requirements at the beginning of my class, right? So by having the bell work, it focuses your students, it gives them something to work on while it allows you to get the task done you are required to. Okay. The next one we did was want to know. Who would like to go ahead and read that one for us? Somebody besides Lacey.
All right.
I'll read.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Andy, go ahead. Your mic's
Okay.
on.
All
Thank
right.
you.
No one wants to know is a strategy that helps to motivate interest in the content. The strategy allows the teacher to be aware of what the class already knows and what interests them, which might help in planning instruction.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, and then there's the third component of this is what you learned. So we'll get to that'll be another strategy as we go through. So thank you so much, Andy and Lacey, for reading. I greatly appreciate it. And you can see we were able to do that online today. So using the Jamboard tool. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jackie and she'll go over the goals of our course.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. So earlier when Shannon asked you to do the KWL, or well, actually even the K, what you already know and what you want to know, a lot of what you folks listed are topics that we're going to be covering in this class. Strategies always comes up in the sessions that we do. People want more strategies. They want to know what is the best way to work with such and such, or how should I do this? And what you'll find is throughout the course, we'll be sometimes pairing you up with like grade levels or subject area levels. For example, we might do lower grades together. We might do grade specifics together. We might do high schools together, middle schools, etc. And other times when the pairing of particular subject matter is not as critical, you'll find that you might be cross-paired. If you're elementary, you might be with a high school person. When it comes particular to strategies, though, we probably more than likely, if it works out with pairing, we'll try to pair you with someone of a similar grade level. We found that through the courses, that's been most successful. And that is what the participants said that they really enjoyed, because they could get something that was very meaningful to them and they could apply right away. We'll also be looking at rules and routines, two very critical parts in your classroom management system that you have, and developing a supportive classroom community of learners, both with your students as well as among ourselves too as educators. Next, John, please. Okay, we also will be talking about techniques for instructional time. That was something that was brought up. What do we do with these early finishers, etc.? and the best way to, or ideal way to arrange our classrooms so that classroom management and flow can occur. We'll also do a session on communication styles, which you'll find is really about learner styles or learning styles and how they relate to the relationships you have with your students as well as parents. And as Shannon already kind of mentioned, there'll be sections where there'll be research that we'd like you to read and look and reflect on and think about the implication it has to your own teaching. Okay, done. So if you notice here, these are the different modules. John mentioned there's 9 different modules throughout the course, and these are the topics that are listed here. You'll notice in one session we have it broken up into 5A and 5B. Those have a lot of information, and we found that it was best just to kind of break those sessions up into 2 different days or 2 different time slots. Okay, John. 1 second. I just want to make sure I'm not taking Shannon's. Shannon's
Jackie, just tell me when, because I'm double checking something right now.
It's no problem. And actually, I can just go ahead and continue because I have to look back.
Yeah, I just want to. Oh, sorry, Jackie. I just want to point out one thing to everybody. We are putting module 4 after module 5A and B. So I know some of you guys mentioned like our dates were a little mixed up or our modules were a little mixed up, but just know 4 is coming after 5. So that's why the modules go in order, but the date sequencing is a little off. Sorry, Jackie. Thank you.
No worries, Shannon. Okay, so we asked earlier if you could sign up for 5 different sessions for the courses. So we have the times and dates listed here. Basically, Wednesday nights are always at 7 and the Saturday courses start at 9. There are the different ones. And if you have any problems signing up for the course, just let us know because there were some little glitches within our sign up sheets. But please make sure you take some time to sign up for them. You'll notice in March 16th, I believe that is, or 18th. It's a little small, I can't see it. But that one is really a spring break optional check-in. So you're welcome to pop in if you need extra support or have questions. It's not a required course at all or a required time slot, but we'll just be available online to help you should you have any questions or need extra help. Likewise, at the end of the slide, we'll be putting our contact information. So don't feel like you have to just wait for that March date to come around to ask questions because you can always shoot us an email and ask us questions and we'll be able to help and support you that way. All right. Okay, so for the next time, we're going to ask that you bring your philosophy of education. Now, I'm not sure if some of you had a chance to look at that link that was in your welcome letter, but it did show you kind of what we're hoping to see or expecting to see when you bring your philosophy of education. John, next one, please. So really your philosophy is your core beliefs about teaching and about learning. I have some things to think about there in those 4 bullets, but that's totally not all of it that you can include in there. What you might want to do and think about is really making this part personal. And I could strongly suggest that you start pretty much each paragraph with I believe or have a belief somewhere in those paragraphs to make it more personal, more personal to you about what you believe about teaching and learning. I'm not going to read these parts to you. It is there and the slides will be available as well for you to look back at. But the main part, I think, is if you can look at the entry 1 document, that would probably be the most helpful because there is about a half a page that kind of outlines what your philosophy is. But truly, it's your core beliefs. We're looking for examples that you could list in there as well. And it's really a 1 or 2 page document. We're not looking at how many words, so don't worry about a word count. And I think last time we asked for, was it double space, Shannon? I can't remember. It was more than a single space because that gets kind of tight to read. But
1.5 is preferred.
Okay, 1.5. There we go. A 1.5 spacing, just to kind of give you some guidance as to what that paper should look like. But think about your beliefs. You're going to put that together. Some of you, if you recently graduated, have something maybe from college that you have done, or you may still have those pieces of papers that you had submitted when you were going through your education courses. But really think about, what is your philosophy like now? It might have changed a little from when you first wrote one, if you did before, but bring what your beliefs are now about teaching and learning. And then you'll find that at that first class, we're going to be sharing our philosophy with one other person, and then they'll be making some comments regarding what you've listed. John, do we have a link to that? Or is it on the next slide, next few slides with the actual? No. Okay. Are you able to pull up that?
Yeah, give me one sec. Oh,
Okay.
I'll put it in there. I'll put a link in. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Shannon. While she's doing that, this is pretty much the last slide that you're looking at here, which is our contact info. So please don't hesitate to email us, ask questions, because we're here to support you.
Shannon, just let me know when that's in and I can actually pull it up for us.
You're in slide 27.
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon.
And can someone, Lacey, post it if someone, or ask a comment if someone wants to answer that while I do this real quick? I think it's just about, changing her.
Change our selection for the course we sign up for. Oh, yes. You mean for the course date? Is that what you're looking at, Lacey?
For the sections, you mean?
Yes. I mean, I signed up for 5 already. I just mean if later, as I'm reflecting, I decide to change it, or do I need to keep it where I already signed up?
No, you're absolutely fine with switching it if you need to. We just kind of put that there to help us as well with planning. Sometimes we have breakout rooms and things that we need to put people in, and we just need to get an idea of what people are coming, what grade levels, if it requires a grade level breakout, etc. But yeah, something comes up, no problem. That you can always just sign up for a different one. Okay, so if you look at the entry itself, this is your Module 1 activities for philosophy of education. Here you'll see there's activity timelines, and there's 4 dates that are listed. The first one, the due date is January 22nd, which is our first class that we'll be holding for Module 1. In that particular class, we're just asking you to bring your entry with you. Oh, John, go back to the top, please. Your philosophy with you. And you'll notice that on that same day when you're in class, you're going to be completing part 2 during the session. So we'll be pairing you up that day, and we'll having you trade your philosophies with each other, review it, and give comments. So John, you can scroll down there then. So this first top part, well, of course, first you see your captions. And I put a few sentence starters there to just kind of guide you along. This document is, why is it evidence? The document is evidence because, so we're hoping that sentence starters will help guide you through answering these 3 questions. You'll see that it's in every entry. You'll be needing to answer or complete a caption. So as you go along, there's a philosophy of education with a little bit more information about what we're looking for. And part 1, we have it right here. This is where we'd like you to complete your philosophy. So don't try to link it anywhere else, but just type it directly in this document. That would be the most helpful for us, as well as for the reviewers when it comes to reviewing portfolios. Okay, so that's part 1, something you can do from tonight up until the 22nd. When you come to the 22nd class, if you've signed up for that, then you'll notice that you'll be doing part 2. And part 2 is where you share your document with someone. They're going to review your philosophy, and there's a column there where your partner will comment and give you feedback on your philosophy of education. Again, we've listed some sentence starters on the left just to kind of guide you along. And then after that evening and you receive the comments, then what you'll do is you'll go back and do part 3. Part 3 is the part that John is highlighting. And what you're going to do is respond to 2 of your partner's comments that they've listed. If you want to respond to more than 2, feel free to. But really give it some thought about what they said about your philosophy and write some feedback or reflection based on what they've said. Okay, so part 1, 2, and 3. Part 1 is due by the 22nd, as well as part 2, because you'll be doing that at class. The third part, you'll notice, is due later. It's on February, is that an 8, John? 6? I can't see the date. Sorry.
5. Sorry, is it not large enough? I apologize.
That's okay. Is it February 5? Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry
So
about
on
that.
February 5th, that is when part 3 should be done. Again, like John said, these are soft dates. You happen to run a few days over, no problem. Just go ahead and still submit it. The one thing to really remember is there is a part 4. And at this point of the game, it comes at the end of the course. And I know people are so bombarded with trying to complete all your other entries as well as your final reflection. But part 4 goes along with this module entry. And you are thinking about your philosophy as you've gone through the course and thinking about whether you need to make any revisions to it, or you're going to think about whether maybe my philosophy is fine, it was reaffirmed. But you'll notice here, and I'll talk a little bit more about it at our first class, but you want to be really thoughtful in this part. And it's kind of outlined there. If you've made changes, you want to explain, and we're looking for specific examples from specific modules about how or why you made the change. Likewise, if it was reaffirmed, give those examples again and from what module. And then what we found too is sometimes parts of your philosophy are reaffirmed and parts of it are revised. So whatever is the case for you, you still need to make sure you give some thought, give examples, and cite specific modules. That would help to make it really strong. Okay, so I know that's a lot of information, but that part 4, you'll notice, is due on April 19th. April 19th is when the portfolio is due. So it's something you don't have to wait till the 19th to do, of course not, because it'll be due by then, but something you're going to be thinking about towards the end of the course. Okay, any questions on that?
Yeah, question. So are we submitting after each part and then you provide feedback? So like if we pass part 1, you would give us a 25 and then we could move on to part 2 and so forth and so on.
Yeah, and actually for part 1, you'll just be bringing it to the course, to the class with you.
But what if we're not attending that session?
And then if you're not coming to that class, then we'll make sure we pair you up with someone else who is not there.
Okay, so it's just that you're just providing pacing for us throughout the class.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. But if you don't have it by the 22nd and you come to the class, it might be a little bit difficult to participate in that session because you'll need that piece to complete it.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
Yeah, good questions.
Christine, did your question get answered just then? It seemed like they were kind of the same. Okay, just wanted to check.
Good, yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
While they're thinking of questions, Shannon, I know you wanted to do a little bit. Is there anything you need me to share or?
No, I have one thing I'm going to put in the chat box. So in the chat box, you will find a link, and this is for everybody except for Kala, Miley, and Kim. Did I say it right? Okay.
Kella.
Yeah, you're fine. Thank you.
Kella, sorry, my apologies. Thank you, you 3, for being the first to complete your first assignment. Yay, thank you. The rest of you, this is a very fast assignment. John, if you want to click on the link and we can quick walk everybody through what they need to do. You have a document called your portfolio. We need you to touch this one time and one time only. For those of you guys who have taken PD classes before and you've had to compile your own portfolio, did I put the wrong link in? Oh gosh, I'm sorry. John, the overview assignment is what I'm trying to get. Let me go.
You want to put it in the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, let's try it. Oh, it's the same thing. Is it not taking it to you to it? Can you click on the link in the chat?
You want the signing the document, correct?
Correct.
Okay, here we go. Let's try
Thank
this.
you.
Oh, there.
Because I'm not in my Gmail account, so it's hard for me to share that one.
All right, let's see.
Okay, so this is technically your portfolio for our course. So what we need you to do is go down, fill in page 1, your name, your DOE email, and your school. Then go a little further down. Don't touch anything. Leave it. It's with a little further up. There's captions and how to write portfolio and how to do hyperlinks. You don't even have to worry about how to do hyperlinks. This is your commitment to the class and to your portfolio. So go through and read all of those. And then just below that, you will see a signature box. So if you could sign and date that, hit submit, your portfolio is done. Further down, you will see portfolio assessment rubrics. So this is so when you're writing your entry, and as we provide feedback, you'll always want to refer to your rubric because that's what we use to grade your entry. And we'll have that further along also for you. But so yeah, that was just my requirement. If my request of you guys, if you could just sign your signature page, and then technically your portfolio is good to go. Is the portfolio we need you to complete is good to go, and we will take care of the rest for you.
Well, just for clarification, just that.
Thank you.
Cover sheet, because you still need to do the entries.
But you do need to do the entries. Thank you. Yeah, we're not writing your entries. We will read them, but thanks for clarifying, Jackie.
Sure.
So you need us to go ahead and sign the portfolio ahead of time.
Yes.
The covers, yeah, that cover
It's the
sheet.
cover page, yes.
Thanks.
And that was all I had, John. So thank you.
Yep. So it's 8:10. So we're officially done with this first opening session. For those of you who kind of know what you need to know for right now, please feel free to sign off. If there's anybody that wants to stay on and ask more clarifying questions or just listen to some other questions that are answered, we will stay on for you. But at this point, you folks can sign off, and then we'll see you on either the next class or the next class that you choose to attend.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Miley. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
And
Sorry, I think I might have missed. Did you have to click all the boxes or just sign?
just sign.
Okay, thank you.
And you can just type in